Yeah, so for Coach, just talk about the Georgia State win a little bit and just how, that really showed some grit and resilience in your group and, moving into this Davidson game where it's obviously a big crosstown rivalry, what that can do for the team's momentum.
Yeah, I felt we, had a pretty good weekend down in Florida. Definitely didn't finish that game off the way we would have liked, but would have learned a lot from that game. And we obviously need to take a lot of those situations and learn from them moving forward. From the guys' feedback, they probably weren't quite ready enough for the Georgia State game mentally. I think they, in their words, took them a little lightly, and that's obviously another lesson. I don't think you ever disrespect anybody. I think anybody can beat anyone. It happens all the time. Just look around the country. But to their credit, second half they came out with a much better mindset, and we obviously defended at a really high level and made it difficult for Georgia State, and was able to give us a little bit more rhythm offensively, and were able to turn the game a little bit and put us in a position to get the win.
So Jackson, this is obviously going to be a bigger game for you, obviously after the theatrics last year. So just going into your senior year, what would it mean to get another rivalry win against Davidson?
I think it'd be huge. Anytime you're playing in-state schools, specifically Davidson, with the rivalry we have with them, I think it'd be big for our program. Yeah.
And so for both of you guys, what challenges have you seen in film that Davidson can present you guys? Obviously a 3-3 team, but like you mentioned, anyone can beat anyone.
Yeah, I mean, they've played some very good basketball. I mean, they beat Maryland early in the year. They lost a really close game to Clemson. And then they've probably had a couple of results that they're probably not real happy with either, and trying to figure it out a little bit themselves, and just trying to find their real identity. And we're basically doing the same. But look, they got good size. They're going to be really hard to guard. They spread you out, move you around. You got to be very disciplined off the ball with your positioning, and then you got to really get to shooters because they shoot the ball well from all five positions on the floor. So ability to close out with high hands and take away the shot, but then also the dribble penetration is going to be important. I mean, they'll do a couple of different things defensively with their pressing in some zone and so on and so forth, which we've seen a fair bit of that this year. And but look, I think whenever it's a rivalry game, doesn't really matter how you're playing at times. Sometimes with that type of stuff, obviously it should be a pretty good crowd, and just obviously the two schools being as close as we are, it always makes those games fun, which over the years they have been.
No, I think he really hit all the points. Just from a player's perspective, I think it's just important that we're really disciplined on both sides of the ball. So.
This is a question for Coach. So you're halfway through the non-conference schedule. Through those 6 games, has there been anything or anyone that has surprised you as far as what you've seen coming out of like preseason and practice into the game action?
I mean, Nick Graves probably a bit. He's been, he had a good off season. He's put a lot of work in, and he's been very consistent, which has been great. We obviously lost some pretty key pieces from last year's group, and we need guys to step up, and some of those guys have paid their dues a little bit, and so now it's time to perform, and I think he's done a really good job with that. There's obviously other guys that still have some ways to go, and guys have been fighting through injury, and just a couple of, our two big guys haven't played basketball in over a year and a half, so these 6 games are pretty small sample size on where I think they can get to, and just adding pieces in that are fairly significant to what we lost. We obviously lost a really important part with our 5-man last year, and then just on the wing, the scoring that we had in that position. So we've had to find some other players to step up and find a different way to play, and You know, who's going to fill those roles, and we're still working through that.
And then another question I have is, and this is for both of you. Of course, you're 3-0 inside Halton Arena. Can you talk about what that means to you, and how important it is to win at home? Of course.
I think anytime you play at home, you want to defend home court, and you want to represent not only our program well, but the university well. So the fans come out to see us perform well, so we always want to take care of business when we're here.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, you know, playing at home is always a special thing to do, and you know, we've played pretty well in this arena. In the you know, going into year 6 for us now, we've won a lot of games here and played pretty well here, and you know, the student turnout's slowly getting better as the years go on, which is awesome. The atmosphere is great. You know, and you know, our community getting behind the team is also really important to support this university, and you know, the environment that they do build in there is obviously been difficult to play in, because we had a lot of pretty good teams coming here, and we've played very, very well, and you know, obviously we want to continue to do that, but you know, it should be the same thing tomorrow night.
Well, this is a question for Jackson. Of course, you being the senior here, have you had any conversations with some of the newer guys on the team about what this game means as far as the battle for the Hornets' Nest?
We've had a few. I think we just talked about the environment that is generated when we play against Davidson. The fans, I feel like, really get into it. The community really gets into it. So we have to make sure that we're just mentally locked in from the start of the game.
That's the last one for me. Coach and Jackson, can you talk about Lakai's kind of emergence here these last few games, just really stepping up, scoring a bunch of points, back-to-back 20-point games, and 18 against George Mason, I believe. So just what's his leadership been like out there for you guys, and then from a player's perspective, what's it like playing with Lakai?
Yeah, I mean, Lakai obviously had an interrupted couple of scrimmages because he got hurt, and he carried that into the first 3-4 games of the season. You know, a lot of people obviously don't know that he was playing a little banged up, which was limiting him. He's, you know, finally got healthy, and we all know that he's going to be a big part of our program. You know, he's definitely a very unique type player with his size and his ability to run you into the post, and he's become such a much better shooter since he's come here, and you know, so he can kind of attack you from different ways. You know, he's obviously a big frame to get around defensively, because he's pretty good in the box, just, you know, defending that guy off that first slide, second slide. So, yeah, look, he has a responsibility to perform, you know, and that's the role he's in. And our team knows that. He knows that. You know, he obviously has a great competitive spirit. You know, he likes to get out there and really get after whoever is in front of him, and you know, he's played well the last few games, and hopefully that continues. I mean, teams are going to come after him, make it difficult for him, and you know, he's going to have to find ways to, when things get taken away, he's going to have to find other ways to contribute. So yeah, he's been good, and you know, I know he's not happy about a couple of aspects of his game right now, but that's good. I don't want him to be that way, and you know, I want him to always be searching for better, and that's what I try and get all the guys to do at practice every day. I mean, I hold them pretty high standards every day, and you know, just that mental approach every day is the challenge for them right now, is to show up every day in every possession and every drill that we do, and really concentrate, and that's probably the thing that they're struggling a little bit with, because I just don't let my foot off it, and you know, that becomes a mentally draining part of the game for them, which traditionally with the teams I've coached, it's been a bit that way. Like, I'm always on it, And but ultimately, if you want to be really good, you've got to be great in that area.
Kind of just echoing a lot of what Coach just said. He's been really big for us the past few games. But what it's like playing with him when I know the lights come on, Kai really wants to compete, and he gets after it. So when one of your leaders does that, it kind of just trickles down to the rest of the guys. So.
Coach, I have a couple questions for Bobby Rajinski. We'll dovetail a little bit on the Patterson discussion. He had he'd said apparently he's been really big in second half of games. And what stands out to you about him taking control in the second half?
Well, he loves to compete. He hates to lose. And so I think that's where that second half production comes about. You know, when the game gets like that, he's one of those guys that wants the ball in his hands. You know, in those situations, not everybody's built like that, as you know. But he is. He wants to be in the action and have the responsibility to have to make those plays when they're required. And you know, he's done that for us in the last 3 games. You know, we've obviously been in some close games and needed people to step up, and he's been able to do that.
What have you learned about your team thus far this year?
I think we play very hard. I think we're gritty and we defend very well. I think we're very continuous that way. I've challenged the guys from day one. I don't ever want to question their competitive spirit to the very last second. I don't care if we're up, down, anywhere in between. I don't ever want to question that. And they've done an outstanding job of that. You know, to defend, you need attention to detail and a major discipline and following our rules, because if you do that, then you build amazing trust with each other, and then that's how you can be connected defensively. And we've done a very good job of that against some pretty good teams. Because our I guess our preparation was a little interrupted with what went down, and then just trying to add guys in, and they've had to quickly try and get up to speed with a bunch of guys that have been here, because we do have a number of guys back. Offensively, we're probably not where we need to be or where I'd like us to be right now. We've just got to find a little bit better rhythm, and then guys just executing their roles really well every night. And it doesn't come down to every night; it comes down to every day, doing that at practice every day. So if we can find some consistency offensively and continue to defend well, then we can be in a lot of games and do some good things. But I guess to summarize it, I've been really impressed with our competitiveness and our toughness to defend, and a lot of comments back to me from the coaches we've played against have been that, like, we're very difficult to play against. And but I'm sure we'll face challenges moving forward, and we'll get some things exposed, but that's part of it.
Jackson, Bobby wants to know what it felt like when you hit the shot against Davidson last year.
I mean, it was very gratifying. Feels like so long ago now, but I just was very excited for our team to be able to get that win, really.
Yeah, when I watched that clip the other day, just in preparation for this game, it's one of those plays that it's like 1 in a billion, the way that play went down. Absolutely wild, from the, basically 2 offensive rebounds that led to that shot off a missed free throw. You're not part of many games in your life when you see something like that. It was actually pretty unbelievable, but I'm sure there's a lot of motivation for them too coming in tomorrow night. So we're gonna have to deal with that, and but looking forward to the challenge. I hope people in Davidson, get in their cars and drive down the road, come support their team. And I hope our community gets out and supports the team at a high level against a rivalry that's not too far away. And that's what we all want to see.
these are mine. Jackson, I'll start with you, but Coach, if you want to chime in. Obviously, the coaching changed later than normal, right?
Yep.
Although you were here already, so some continuity. But how has that been? Has that been almost a rallying point? How's that felt for you guys, Jackson?
I feel like it was a rallying point. Like you said, there was just a lot of uncertainty going on at the time, and I think we did a good job of kind of coming together, communicating a lot, and I think it's brought us closer together. So.
Yeah, it was inspiring, and I've said this before. It was to have that support from the guys, and just not of me, obviously, just of everybody. They made that very clear, and that was, like I said, very inspiring for that to happen. And like I've said before, I think the goal of any coach in any sport is just to try and get your team to unify, and that was a unifying moment for us in that situation. Now, we hadn't played 1 second of basketball, and things wobble a little bit as you get into that, because some guys get what they get, some guys don't quite get what they get, some guys get very little, and so you have to manage through that. But that, building those relationships, and there's obviously a lot of trust in us to lead the program at that point, and very grateful for it. There's no doubt about that. We all are. But it just wasn't a stressful moment. It wasn't just a stressful moment for just us coaches. It was very stressful for the players. It was a very difficult time for them. Some of them dealt with it better than others, and because of the uncertainty there. But the support of the staff and the support of the players and everybody involved was, was awesome. And now we're balling and dealing with other issues as we move through the season.
And last thing, watching you guys in the opener, you have big physical guards, and you post them frequently. They'll even back their guys down. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you normally would do, or is that somewhat built to the team you have?
A bit of both. Back in Australia, I'd post guards up a lot, and we do work on it every day, getting our guards to get into the post and work their post game. I think if just every night you're just not going to knock down jump shots. You've got to find a way to get to the paint, and if you can get into the post and get to the free throw line or finish around the rim, just adds another string to your bow. And then we just naturally have a couple of guys that are pretty good down there. Lakai in particular is obviously very good in the post, and he's very difficult to handle with down there. But it also, pulls the big guys away from the basket defensively some too. So, just gives us a different avenue to score at times.
Well, thank you. That will conclude the men's basketball press conference, Coach. And Jackson, I know you have film to get to, so thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.